What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bull Chat with Randy Paddock. This is episode number 49, and I'm Randy Paddock. Hopefully, everyone is doing well and riding out the old quarantine. As always, before we get going today, just a couple different things. If you want to support, check out the Patreon account. I put specific content just for patrons up there. So there's a couple of different levels. I do blogs and different things. So if you ever want to help out, feel free to go ahead and do that. Other than that, we'll jump right into it. So today's exciting. We're 49 podcasts in like 2 years. I think I started in 2017 or something like that. And if you've been listening, you know all you've done is heard me and maybe at times Leroy being an asshole. But for the first time ever, we have a guest. So this is exciting. It's only taken 2 years and 49 episodes. But today I have a guest, and it's awesome. He's my brother from another mother. It's actually one of my friends that I grew up with who made something out of his life and is an authority in something. Not many Wakanda folks can say that. But we have my boy and clinical psychologist, Dr. Zach Sikora. Welcome, my man.
What's up, dude? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Not much. It's kind of cool. I'm not a big Skype guy. I think Skype gets a bad rap these days. Zoom's like the new it.
Zoom seems to be in the lead. Microsoft Teams is also up there.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that as the new commercial because there was some beef with Zoom, like they got compromised or something like that.
Yeah. I've been using MySpace live streaming.
You know, I have too. Was I ever? We had to be friends during MySpace. I wonder if I made it in your top 8.
Was it 8? I thought it was 5.
Was it 5?
If it was 8, you definitely did. If it was 5, there's no way.
Oh, well, you can eat a bag of shit because your name was I Dig Sunsets at some point in time. I remember. I remember MySpace. And here's what chaps my ass about MySpace. 2 things, actually. So one, my name was The Walking Dead. And this is before The Walking Dead came out. Yeah. And I got it from an Alkaline Trio song. And that's why
Of course you did.
Well, yeah. But so then that show came out, but this was post MySpace, but it had nothing to do with zombies. And then the second thing is I tried actually to find my MySpace not too long ago because, dude, they had on there, remember, like blogs before blogs. And I used to put, I don't know if you probably don't remember this. I don't know why anyone would, but I used to put stories of like the drunken escapades of, 1999 or 2000, whatever fucking year MySpace was. And I would like to check those out.
That's pure gold. That's got to have some good stuff in it.
Well, I remember one specifically I did was about when they demolished old Lindy's. Were you there for that? We got tailgated.
I was not present, no.
Oh, yeah, they let us tailgate it and stuff. And then I went to Northern that night and got all weird. But I remember, and I wish I had that stuff because, what was that one dude that made that book?
Oh, I thought you meant the one guy who's your friend when you first sign up.
Yeah, Tom wasn't my friend, but
Tom.
No, that dude. He made that book. I hope they serve beers in hell.
Oh yeah. I don't know the name of that guy.
Tucker Max. Yeah.
There you go.
Or is that the guy that wears the bow tie that's on Fox News?
Oh no, that's Tucker Carlson.
Distant relative to Ryland Carlson, but
exactly.
Oh, I feel bad for people. There's probably going to be all kinds of stupid inside jokes, and people are going to be like, "What the fuck are these guys talking about?" But
50% of this is going over everyone's head right now.
Well, if you're not old enough to remember MySpace, you shouldn't be listening to this shit anyway.
You know what I like? You know what I liked about MySpace though? That you could put a song up there.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. MySpace was good. Like, I don't know why it got knocked out. Because, like, Facebook sucked back in the day. Remember, you had to, like, be in college? Like, when I was at ISU, that's when I had to have, like, use my ilstu.edu thing.
Right.
To, do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Remember Hot or Not?
No, I don't remember that. I don't, honestly.
Oh, shit. That was a thing on the internet. It was like, it would show, And who knows? I'm guessing that it was all real people back in the day. This was like probably pre-catfish, but it would show like you could pick like who you're interested in, male or female or whatever, and it would show you a picture, and you'd say like
Right.
thumbs up, hot, or thumbs down, no.
What happens then?
I don't know. I just remember you picked who was hot and who was not. I don't know what happened. It wasn't like Tinder. You didn't meet him and hook up. It just like went away.
Did you get a score or anything? Like if people rated you? Do you
I
remember
wasn't
that?
on there. I was just a voyeur. I wasn't in there. You know, this was back in the day. I might have still been rocking husky jeans, so there was no way that I was doing that.
Husky jeans. Husky jeans, yeah.
Did you have to do huskies?
Oh yeah, dude. Every year before school, I think my mom only had a J.C. Penney credit card. We would go to J.C. Penney and shamefully walk me over to what was the brand? Lee. They were Lee Husky jeans. They were the worst. Yeah.
Were they boot cut?
No, they definitely weren't boot cut. But I do think they had the hammer loop.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're a carpenter.
Is that what that was?
No, there was Lee dungarees or carpenter
jeans.
That's what it was. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. It inspired kids to be blue collar, and they had the yeah. But you were a J.C. Penney, dude. I was like over at Venture getting Vector.
Oh, there you go, Venture. That was the store with the black and white outside, right? Like a zebra. Looked like a zebra.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I wonder what they have nowadays to tell adolescent boys that they're chubby. You know, I don't think husky jeans wouldn't fly in 2020. You know.
Yeah. I think those types of words society has taken out because they're super offensive now, you know?
Yes. I did not like here was the correlation. If you wore husky jeans, you probably swam with a shirt on.
That is totally true. Yeah. With water shoes as well.
Remember those things?
Oh, those were the worst, man. Did you ever go to Noah's Ark in
How dare you? Go.
The Dells?
Of course, go. That's all they would say.
Some hungover dude at 300 feet in the air telling kids when to go and when not to go.
Like that fucking dude from the newest season of Stranger Things, right? That guy, that worked at the pool. He'd be a guy that worked at Noah's Ark. But of course,
for sure,
we're all poor Wakanda kids. The only vacation you went on was to Wisconsin Dells because it was 3 hours away, and your parents could budget it. You know.
Have you been there as an adult, like to Noah's Ark?
Not to Noah's Ark.
It's not what you thought it was when you were a kid.
I feel that's like the Dells, though. Granted, it is God's country, but like
for sure.
Like I went to last time I was there, I hit up like Big Chief go-kart world, and I'm like, oh yeah, this place was the shit. Nah, I'll tell you what's timeless though is Paul's Bunyan Breakfast.
Oh,
the fucking Wonder Spot. You remember that? And
is that wait? Is the Wonder Spot where the house is?
Yeah, it's built on that hill. It's built on a hill, so gravity is all distorted. So you everything's all nuts. And then the Tommy Bartlett show, of course. Robot World, not so good.
That's great, Tommy Bartlett.
That motherfucker owned it.
Oh yeah, he was holding on to that handle with his teeth.
There was Tommy Bartlett's water show. There was Tommy Bartlett's Robot World, and I believe there was like a clown one as well.
Right.
I don't know.
Was Ripley's Believe It or Not up there too?
Oh yeah, it was right next to the Wax Museum, right across from having a swig with Nig. And then a little bit down
I had a swig with Nig's shirt for a long time.
Oh, I remember that. And then I think it was Nig's, or maybe it was, I don't know. I think they're the one that gave you food in a Frisbee.
Oh, that sounds about right.
And then when you left Nig's, you can go to a little T-shirt shop and get yourself a Big Johnson tee or a Chronic the Hemp Hog.
Co-ed naked?
Yes, exactly. Oh, 68, you do me, I'll owe you one.
Oh, jeez.
419, got a minute? Or they had all the ones that had it was 5 rows, and it was just pigs in different sex positions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was
you had to come back from Wisconsin Dells with one of those.
I remember Mike Alejandro. You remember that kid in my grade?
In your grade, yes, I remember him.
He had every Big Johnson T-shirt ever, and he would always wear them like the first week of school to see if he could like get by. And then like Mr. Coles would like fuck him up in junior high and make him flip him inside out. Every Big Johnson tee ever.
Hey, can we talk about how Massimo used to be an awesome brand, and then it went away, and then Target like hijacked it again?
It's back.
Did you know that? Yeah.
Well, you know what else one's big that used to be big again? Remember?
Stussy.
Yes, Stussy. His like the anti-social social club and all that bullshit that the kids are wearing.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a part of Stussy. It's like PacSun revived things.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What about Red Sand? Do you remember Red Sand?
Wasn't
that another T-shirt thing?
I had jeans, Red Sand jeans from PacSun for sure.
A chain wallet.
Gadzooks.
Oh yeah.
I had a shirt that said Hanson sucks from Gadzooks.
I had a shirt in the early '90s that had O.J. Simpson behind bars, and it just said "juiced" on it, and it was one of my favorite shirts ever.
That's a great shirt. Bogey used to have a shirt that just had Elvis's face on it, and it said "I'm dead."
I want that now. That's
I know.
good.
Well, you know what shirts are coming back, and then after this, we got to probably start this shit because we have about 12 minutes of just whatever. But that's great. Remember those hypercolor shirts that, like, if you could go up and slap somebody and your handprint would be on it. They're coming back.
Yeah. Weren't those windbreakers at first though?
Were they?
Weren't they windbreakers? Yeah, they were like pullover windbreakers. Yeah.
Oh, that was too high quality for me. I just had the T-shirt.
Oh.
And it was bad if you were like a sweater because your body heat would start to change up your T color right under your tit sweat.
I'd hit out so bad. Mine would always, it would be so bad right there.
Oh, those goddamn shirts. All right. We'll probably get back into that. But Zach, real quick, since people probably when they hear the term, clinical psychologist, they're not sure 100% what that is. What's a little bit about like your background, and education, things of that nature, just to give you build some credibility besides knowing about Stussy and sweating.
Sure. A clinical psychologist must have a doctorate degree in psychology. So we do an undergrad, of course, 4 years, and then after that, a graduate program of some kind. There's either a PhD doctorate or a PsyD, PSYD, and you can go either track, but those are like an additional 4 or 5 years after your bachelor's degree. And then after you graduate with your doctorate, there's an additional like residency that you have to complete for training. But I went to DePaul in Chicago for my undergrad, and my master's and doctorate I got at the Illinois School of Professional Psychology, which is in Chicago, and it used to be in Schaumburg, but they merged with another school over the past year or something. So, but yeah, you got to have a psychologist has a doctorate degree in psychology. Then you have to pass a state exam, of course, and then you can deem yourself a psychologist. A psychologist diagnoses, evaluates, and treats psychological problems, I guess would be a sort of an overview of what we do. We work in all types of settings: hospitals, outpatient practices, schools, private practice. So
you know your stuff.
I hope.
That's
it's
good.
Been about 9 years since I graduated, so I've been practicing for about 9 years now.
That's awesome. I just heard something like they were giving Dr. Phil shit because he's like not really a doctor, and they started calling him Mr. Phil because he's not really a doctor and gave some weird coronavirus like bad facts or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Again, this is according to the internet, so who knows? I haven't been paying attention to stuff. But
I know he caught flack like a long time ago because I think he was referring to himself as a psychologist, but he didn't have a license or I don't know.
Yeah, he does. I don't think he has a PhD, and he refers to himself as Dr. Phil.
Uh, uh,
That's
he
like
does
maybe.
say he does say your house is on fire and you got to get out. He says that to like everyone.
Did he say that to Honey Boo Boo?
You bet.
They're still on TV. They have a show now still.
Wow.
Yeah, terrible.
That's impressive.
So what do you specialize in, Zach?
So I mainly treat adults, although I do see some adolescent patients, but anxiety disorders tend to be my clinical focus. So PTSD, obsessive compulsive disorder, generalized worry, panic attacks, things of that nature.
For sure. I used to have some of that stuff, so I know how that goes. Panic attacks, like righteous panic attacks. Like I used to have them. There was a couple, like some where I'd be like sleeping, and it would like wake me up maybe, or maybe I wouldn't be sleeping. I'd have to like go outside and like walk around the neighborhood because I'd be like freaking out. There was times too. Yeah, there was times.
Yeah, they're horrible.
I had to stop driving and like pull over on the side of the road and like walk. So I was on different pills for a while. For those, they gave me Xanax, which was nice. And then I was on some other shit too. But I guess, how, in your opinion, how common is like anxiety or those type of issues with folks?
Super, super common. In fact, I think globally and in the U.S., anxiety disorders are the most common mental health problem. I don't know the exact percentage, and you can fact check me on this one, but I think it's like somewhere around 20% of the U.S. population in a given year suffer from anxiety. And that's just people who go and get treated and diagnosed with it. So if you think about all of the people who are not being treated or diagnosed with it, I mean, it's probably a much larger percentage. And right now, in the times that we're in now, I bet it's even higher.
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure. But so people that have that kind of thing, they're not alone, right?
Absolutely not. No.
You're not like a weirdo.
Common. No, definitely not. No, I mean, psychological disorders in general. I mean, I think we're now finally getting to a point as society. We still have a lot farther to go, but we're finally recognizing it as part of legitimate healthcare, where I think it was always kind of stigmatized and not paid attention to it as much as medical problems. But they're very common, and they're more common than some of the most prevalent medical problems like diabetes and things of that nature. So super common.
Yeah, and I think you're dead on. Like people that want to be labeled "quote unquote" crazy, right, or something like that. So when do you think? I guess, I mean, for you, it's probably because you have it as a business. But when do you think, in someone, if they're kind of diagnosing themselves or whatever, would be an appropriate time when it's like, all right, I should probably get some help or talk to somebody?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that. I mean, we all go through periods of time where we might have anxiety, where we might feel down, where, we might evidence psychological symptoms of some nature. But when it becomes frequent and intense enough where it starts to impact your daily functioning, like your sleep, your appetite, your ability to think and concentrate, things of that nature, then I think it's time to seek some professional help.
Yeah, I know that. As you said, it's kind of, you could tell things are getting mainstream because Michael Phelps is doing the commercial for like have you seen that stuff?
No.
Oh yeah. He's like a spokesperson for like talking with people. It's like there's some company.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's talking about how he dealt with like anxiety and depression and stuff. It's some company. It's like you call them and you can like talk to them over the phone type of deal.
I've seen that.
Yeah, something like that. I remember back in my day, I I don't know what she was, but they called it a counselor.
Sure.
I don't know what the fuck that is, but when my parents were getting divorced and they thought they were ruining my life and I was becoming such a piece of shit kid that they made me go see somebody, I went to a counselor. Um, Mrs. What the hell was her name? She was an old lady and it didn't do much, but what the hell is a counselor? Where was I going?
That's a straightforward question. So so here's the thing.
It wasn't Terry Stevig at Wakanda High.
It wasn't Terry Stevig, no. So there are different type of mental health practitioners. So in order to treat people for with psychological issues, you need to have a license of some kind, and you have to have at least a master's degree to do that. And that could be in counseling, that could be psychology, that could be in social work. So people who call themselves counselors typically have a degree in counseling, and they have a license that like a licensed clinical professional counselor is what it's called in Illinois. So you probably saw somebody with a master's degree who was treating families.
Like 80.
Oh, really? That was probably hard for you to relate to her, huh?
Yeah, I think that's all Wakanda had to offer. We were being local. It was up by the pharmacy.
Oh, for real? I didn't know, I wasn't aware of that. There was a counselor up there.
Yeah. Nibio, Dr. Nibio or some shit. I don't know.
Oh.
But yeah, it didn't stick. And then
clearly.
Well, no shit. And we all know how I turned out. But so talk to somebody. But all right, cool. So what do you think, Zach, are just some simple ways, that people can kind of deal with their issues, because especially now with isolation and, not everyone has a family. Some people are maybe a little bit more alone, and that gives them time to think more and reflect. And sometimes self-reflection can lead to freaking out or whatever. What do you think are some just simple ways people can kind of deal with anxiety and depression maybe?
Well, I think first and foremost, people have to talk about it. So I think a sweeping epidemic that we have in the United States is a fear of vulnerability. People are afraid to be transparent, and they're afraid to be honest about what they're struggling with. And that's from a variety of reasons, probably. But like you said, when you get locked up in your own thoughts, and you get locked up in your own narrative, a lot of the times that just worsens the issue of whatever you're dealing with. So being able to reach out and talk to somebody. I know we can't physically be with people right now, but reaching out to somebody virtually, over the phone, whatever it might be, to at least start to put words to whatever you're feeling. A lot of the times that can be helpful in and of itself, because number one, when you keep it to yourself, you feel alone. You feel like you're the only person that's dealing with this, and that there's a shame that can kind of go with that. So to be able to talk to somebody about it and for people to normalize what you're feeling is, I think, really important. Just in general, in managing anxiety and depression during this time, I think keeping a consistent routine of your day is going to be really important. Because I even feel right now, I don't know if you feel this, Randy, but like at a certain point, it almost feels like an extended sick day where you're at home and there's like, I'm still working, thankfully, because I can do what you and I are doing with patients all day. But still, like, I'm thrown off of my schedule. I'm not commuting. I can't go to the gym every morning. Like, so everything's thrown off. And I think when that happens, we tend to abandon all the structure that we used to have before. And I think that could really lead to like a downward spiral for people. So keeping a consistent routine, I think, is important. In addition to that, like, people need to focus on basic self-care right now. Uh, Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, trying to eat healthy. I know, like, it's so tempting right now to booze it up, to eat horribly, right? And because we kind of have an excuse for it right now. Um, but keeping that self care going on with sleep, eating, even hygiene. Like, I think
Yeah,
I
dude.
wore joggers for like 7 days in a row, and I finally put on some jeans and took a shower, and it was like, okay, I feel much different.
Right. Yeah. I think I've been. Yeah, it's good that you said that. I mean, I feel the same way. Like, I talk to my clients and I tell them like that structure. That's what's been saving me, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
sooner or later we're gonna go back to normal, right?
Mhm.
So like I've been waking up at 5 a.m. every day, even if I don't have to do
Mhm.
shit till 8 or 9, because I don't want to. I feel it's gonna be harder for me to go back to try to do it than if I just keep doing it. So
Right.
now, and it's been kind of nice because then I have time. I hang out. I make a coffee. I read. So it's good. And also to me, like you're talking about with diet, I talk about that as well. And it's just about we can't. I think people freak out when they feel that they don't have control. And right now, we don't have control of
Mhm.
shit. Everyone's telling us where we can go, where we can't go, what we can do, what we can't do, all this stuff. And there's
Mhm.
very uncertain. So maybe I'm just a fucking idiot, but it seems to me, why not focus on what I can control? In
Yeah.
the land of craziness, if I can control something, I feel a little bit better. So like
Right.
if I can control what I eat, I can control, like you said, like showering every day, like brushing your teeth, like changing your
Totally.
pants, like all these things.
Yep.
It's because you're right. It's excuses to me. It doesn't mean they're not true, but when they start to get in our way, that's when it becomes a
Mhm.
problem. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Absolutely.
So I
Yep.
think that you and I, that's good. That makes me feel better that maybe I'm not crazy and that is good stuff. And then I advise people all the time, like go outside and walk, get some sun and like some fresh air. Maybe smile at somebody and like get
Totally.
that going. It's going to be
Right.
harder
Right.
starting May 1st when we have to wear masks. But
Yeah.
just give them a wink, creep them out a little bit because they don't know what your face is doing under that mask.
Right. Right. You just to weigh in on that. You are an idiot. I just want to say that. But you are. That's everything you said is on point. You
That's
know.
what I'm saying.
Uh,
Like people overthink. It's like just dumb that shit down.
yeah. Yeah. And you're totally right about the control piece. Um, I mean, it's unprecedented what's happening right now, and I think we, as a society, at least the generations that are living right now have never experienced anything like this before. Um, and so when our control is anxiety and control go hand in hand. So when you don't feel like you have control, we get anxious because it's a threat to us, you know? So we do need to focus on the things that we can control within our life. And everything you said was perfect, you know?
Right on. And kind of adding to that, here's the next question. I can't relate to this, but you
Sure.
can for sure, and it'll probably help some folks. So, how to deal with the quarantine when you have like a family? So, like not only a significant other
Mm.
or partner, because that could be hard enough, I'm sure, but also like in your case, children. Because people go
Yeah.
from I don't have to see my kids all that much to God damn it, now I got to see them all the time. I got to teach them. I got to like do all this. I'm
Right.
sure it could be extremely overwhelming. Like I feel for all my friends I know have like small children. I'm like, I I don't even know. I can't wrap my head around it. And I know some people ask me about that. So what are your 2 cents on how to help deal with, the family during quarantine?
Yeah. This is a tough one. This is a real tough one because if if there's any dysfunction in the family, it's going to come out right now because we're all spending a lot of time together. Um, I don't think there's any way around the fact that it's going to be super stressful because people are trying to maintain careers and also teach their kids. And so I think lowering our expectations at this point of how we need to be performing in those areas is really important. You're not going to be 100% at teaching. You're not going to be 100% at parenting either. We have to allow ourselves some room to falter and give ourselves some grace during this time, because it is super stressful. But like, practically speaking, I think keeping a structured routine with kids is so important. They thrive best when they also have a predictable, structured routine. And I think part of that structured, predictable routine has to be time away from each other. And so if that means, I'll just use my wife as an example. She has worked into our schedule every day. There's like some alone time, art time type of thing, where the kids go off by themselves. They draw, they do something else on the iPad, whatever that is. And it gives me time away from all of the chaos and that sort of thing. I think it's important to try and be as patient as we can during this time with one another and give each other. You're drinking out of a Pyrex. That's great. Sorry. You're a grown up. Yeah.
36 next week.
30. That's right. May 2nd.
That's right. Quarantine birthday.
That's right. Quarantine birthday. I think trying to be patient with one another the best we can is going to be important too, just because everyone's on edge right now. And I know that's hard, but we have to try our best to try and be grace-filled with one another. But other than that, getting outside has been huge for me and my family. I know the weather's horrible right now, but it looks like it's going to break here in the next week. So getting outside and like physical activity, I think, is good for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because what they were saying, I don't know if this is just internet lore or if it's true, but like domestic violence cases were up and like all these things. And like, yeah, I guess that does make sense, because I think you kind of put it perfectly. Like, if there's dysfunction that's not addressed, it's going to come out now. So kind of piggybacking off that, what are some things you can do to help your kind of kids with their mental health, right? Because they're probably like, what the hell's going on? They're used to going to school, seeing their friends, going to practice, doing what they do. Now they're stuck with mom and dad all day, and they're probably like, what the fuck?
Right, exactly. Well, I think so. As parents, we have to remember that kids demonstrate psychological issues different than adults do. We as adults have insight into, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I'm angry, I'm irritable, I'm sad, whatever it is. We can verbalize that. Kids don't, So kids will often evidence physical symptoms and mood symptoms of psychological problems, right? Stomach aches, headaches, sleep problems, loss of appetite, unexplained anger outbursts, mood instability, things of that nature. Those can be some warning signs that your kids might be struggling with some anxiety or depression, things of that nature. I know this may sound simple, but a lot of us parents don't do this. But like, actually sitting them down and asking them, like, how are you feeling about this, not going to school? How are you feeling about not seeing your friends? Giving them a platform just to start talking, I think it models the importance of emotional health in the family too, for a parent to be able to even model how they're feeling to their kids, I luckily grew up in a household where my dad talked about how he felt with me sometimes, which was like, I think, pretty huge in my emotional development, where I could be, okay, like, this is a man talking about feeling sad, As basic as that sounds, adults don't do that all the time. And it's important, I think, to just allow that platform, for the kids.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, because I guarantee you not a lot of people do that. Like, and get specific with questions. You know, not just how you doing,
Yeah,
bud, but like, how do
totally.
you feel that you can't see your friends, or how do you feel? Yeah,
Right.
that's good. We didn't have that at my house, so I definitely understand. But I know Big Len. You know, he told me a couple of times, asked me how I felt over a Camel Wide and a shot of Jack. So it was good feeling. All right,
He's
so
a good dude.
oh, he's a great dude. All right, so what about kind of dealing with grief during
Mm,
quarantine? Like, let's say something tragic happens. I know people, again, maybe it stems from control, but say something devastating happens, like, and you can't go see said person in the hospital, or someone passes away and you can't do
right.
anything, but something that would bring a lot of grief. What do you think are some tips to be able to kind of combat that, huge feeling?
Right. Sure. Well, I've been thinking about this concept of grief and loss a lot lately. I actually think we as a society collectively are feeling loss all the time and we don't know it. Um, the basic kind of comforts and liberties that we've had are taken away right now, and the social distancing and social isolation, if you think about it, is kind of a loss for everybody, right? And I think it's important to recognize that first, that we are going through this loss experience, and it's important to label it like that, because it might help explain to some people why they're feeling the way that they feel, um, because we're all collectively sort of experiencing this grief process together. Um, but if people experience really significant specific loss, like people going into the hospital and not being able to see them, or God forbid, loved ones dying, that sort of thing, that I think that would be a situation where you need to seek out some professional help. And thankfully, most practitioners right now are offering telehealth sessions, meaning over the telephone, over Skype, over FaceTime, whatever medium it is. And the great thing is that insurance companies have made exceptions to reimburse, just like they did for regular office visits. So there aren't any insurance issues going on that I know of right now. So people can access that that healthcare just from their own home. But that would be definitely a situation where you need to seek out a professional to help you walk through that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Being able to kind of talk it out. So
Mm-hmm.
here's some good stuff. So do you think, does too much access to social media affect our mental health? Because, especially nowadays with nothing to do, people are just living on, Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram, whatever the fuck TikTok is, all that stuff. So do you think, I know people love it.
MySpace.
Yeah, I wish. I'm bringing it back. Tom needs to make a resurgence. Now is the time, Tom. But
Yeah.
do you think too much access to that stuff affects our mental health?
What do you think? Let's start off with what you think.
Well, I could speak from what I do. So again,
Uh-huh.
I don't know, man. Like, I keep things simple, like common sense. Unfortunately, I don't think common sense is as common as it should be. So, like, for instance, my dad, just
Mm-hmm.
he's always like talking. He's like, "Did you see what Trump did? Did you read this tweet? This, that." I'm like, "No, I didn't," because I already know the guy's a fucking idiot. So, like, what does me paying attention to stupid shit he says, like, how does that help me? So I don't pay attention to, like, I stay off Facebook for the most part, because, like, I already know everyone's bored, everyone's on edge, everyone's got their
Mm-hmm.
feet fucking dug into a side, so they're just gonna put up every stupid shit they know and fight over dumb shit. Like, how does that help my day? Like, so why watch it? But again, I'm an idiot. We've already covered this, so maybe I'm wrong, but I think that it could be okay. I like memes. I like funny shit. But, like,
Right.
in terms of, I don't know. I just kind of stay away from stuff because I already know what's going to happen. You know what I'm
It's really
saying?
it's really a double-edged sword, in my opinion. Like, on the one hand, social media offers so much connection to other people, and like you said, like access to funny stuff, access to connecting, reuniting people, staying in touch with, like, I think all of that stuff is good, you know? There isn't any definitive research out yet to my knowledge, but because, I mean, if you think about when did social media start? Early 2000s?
Well, it depends, I guess, what we call social media.
Social media.
If you want to talk about like chat rooms where I used to pretend to be a lesbian and just see if I can get some dirty talk, that was like, you know, late 90s or whenever the dial-up was going down. I would say, you know, social media was probably, yeah, like really kicking off late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like, in what we, like, was it Instant Messenger and like
right.
the World Wide Web and all that shit?
Right. There are some researchers right now. So my point of asking that is like being able to draw conclusions from how social media is impacting us as a whole psychologically. I think because social media is sort of, I mean, in its infancy, so to speak, I mean, 10 years, give or take 10 years, right? Like we need longitudinal studies to kind of like look over time how it's impacted us. I think we're just starting to get into that now, but there are a few researchers, Dr. Jonathan Haidt, Haidt, I think is his last name. He's a clinical social psychologist. So he looks at how society as a whole impacts our mental and psychological health. He does a lot of really cool research. I heard him speak recently, and he his research is connecting the advent of the iPhone and the taking off of Facebook, being connected to specific increases in certain psychological issues, particularly in adolescent females right now.
Oh, like slut shaming and like body image and like shit talking, like Mean Girls stuff.
I think that's part of it. Yeah, I think males and females have a different way of bullying each other, right? Like,
yes,
dudes would rather just punch each other in the face and fight and get it over with.
Right.
And I know I'm painting with a broad brush here, but like females have a different way of doing that.
Like start a rumor and then the girl ends up killing herself.
Right.
Drastic scenario, but
right, exactly.
Right.
But yeah, it's more insidious, and I think social media can unfortunately provide a platform for that. But I also think it opens us up to constantly comparing ourselves to each other. Political views are constantly being posted. Misinformation is constantly being posted. I think people use social media sometimes as a platform to complain and talk about a lot of negative things too, right? And so I do think that overexposure to it can lead to us feeling distress in some kind. That could be anxiety, that could be depression. I also think watching too much news can do the same thing.
Oh, dude, me and my sister, it was great, actually. We had this, like, debate for, like, an hour, and it was awesome. Like, our debate was over, I don't think that they should do a nightly briefing about COVID-19. I'm like, what the fuck is the difference? I'm like, so you got Trump getting on there, then you got Pritzker getting on there, then you got Lightfoot getting on there. I'm like, all they talk about is death rate, here's the more people, all this shit, right? So I'm like, maybe they do one once a week, and then maybe they have the stats available online if you want to look. I'm like, but if people are always watching it, that's all they're going to think about. I'm like, or maybe they have to give all the people that recovered today along with all the people that died. And then my sister, her point was, okay, but do they have the obligation to be able to keep the public informed? Or should they just not talk to us? I'm like, that's a good point. And we actually had this discussion for like an hour. And I was like, man, this is awesome. I wish people weren't such fucks and they could have these debates and these talks more often than I'm right, you're an asshole. Everyone's so, that's what makes me so upset. And I hate to be so judgmental, but like, I feel a lot of folks are too closed minded and stuck where they're at. And if you just took the time to take a step back, detach and listen and know that, like, if you're the same person you were and have the same mindset you've had, you're the problem. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to grow. And it's okay to listen to other people and maybe take their point as valid, even though it might not align with yours.
Right. We're extremely black and white right now.
Right.
We're very divided. Think about all of the social issues. We're really divisive right now, and I think you're right. It would benefit us to take a step back and sort of introspect. And well, the art of discussion has been completely lost. There is no discussion anymore.
No.
You know what I mean?
Who's the loudest asshole? That's what it is. It's like.
Another thing I was going to say is our brains are not made to take in as much information as we're constantly taking in. So think about how much technology has progressed over the last several decades in terms of our access to information. Think about 100 years ago, you wouldn't hear something for days, weeks later after it happened, right? We have instant access to information constantly, and most of that information is negative, is life-threatening. And so I think our access to that can really impact our emotional well-being too. So I always talk to my patients about being wise about what they allow into their brain, right? So being able to wisely filter what they allow in. And myself, I've not watched the news in years, just because it to me, I don't want to flip something on at 6 a.m. and hear about the 75 homicides that happened in Chicago over the weekend. Like, that just doesn't start my day off great, you know? And same thing with the death toll with the virus right now. Like, that doesn't make me feel great to start my day off. I get being informed, right? So what I do is, like, once a week, twice a week, I will go to a news source of my own that I want and get that information.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I think you do need to be informed in what's up, but I think that people that just tie their boat to it, it's crazy. Because, you nailed it, man. Like, there's so much information, and then if you get your information from the same source all the time, you create a bubble that might not be 100% accurate, right? Like, we take the lazy way, right? We don't want to do our own research and think for ourselves. We want to just, I'm an MSNBC guy, I'm a Fox News guy, so everything they say is exactly what's going on. That's the bubble I live in, and that's what it is. As opposed to, again, doing some digging. It takes a little bit more work, but to kind of create your own thought as opposed to. So I think that's great stuff.
Yeah.
Here's a question for me that I was thinking about, just because I've been thinking a lot about the movie What About Bob?
Oh, I love that movie.
I do too. But do you think with all this germ talk and all this like quarantine stuff, like things like agoraphobia are going to be on the rise, and post this, people are going to be like freaked out to leave their house? Like, dude, I saw a fucking guy walking into a 7-Eleven with a World War I trench warfare gas mask on.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah.
No shit. But I was like, I wonder, like, with all this talk, if people are just gonna like not leave their house anymore. What are your 2 cents on that?
Absolutely. I think any anxiety disorders that people have, or any symptoms of anxiety that people have right now, are probably going to exacerbate or get worse. You know, as I said earlier, I specialize in anxiety. I specialize particularly in the treatment of OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. And it's tough right now because, honestly, like, there is rational fear out there because there is a virus, right? And so I think that rational fear is going to increase everyone's anxiety that is struggling with that was struggling with it prior to the virus. But I most definitely think I think there's going to be an increase on a lot of psychological problems after this. You know, my fear is that there's going to be rises in divorce rates, like you already mentioned domestic violence, unfortunately. I pray that the suicide rates don't take a spike, but my fear is that the isolation that people are dealing with.
I think that's guaranteed. I think that's guaranteed. And I think, that's kind of I share the same fears, is that, I don't know, man, it sucks because if there's like a Venn diagram, I'm in the middle of stuff because, yes, I don't want crazy stuff to happen. I want public safety, but also, like, you got to think about the things that this virus affects, that it's not just the person who gets COVID, it's the person that kills himself because of isolation. It's the woman that's getting her ass beat every day because her husband lost his job and is feeling hopeless, right? It's the kid that isn't getting food. It's the person who has no more options, the desperate people. When you're desperate, you do crazy shit. You know what I mean? And I think if people, I wish there was a way, Zach, and I know there's not, but I wish, where people can try to think more with their brain as opposed to their emotion and see the bigger picture. You know what I mean? Of like, all of this stuff happens and all of it's no good. We got to find a happy medium, not just, instead of this guy saying, hey, maybe we should open up small businesses. I don't yell, hey, you're an asshole, you want people to die. Maybe there's a middle ground, right? Or maybe it's not, hey, this person's wearing a mask, you're a pussy germaphobe. Maybe there's a middle ground,
Yeah, I think the divisiveness of the country, the black and white thinking probably adds to that, right? It's that quick judgment of people's motivation. And I think taking a step back and introspecting and looking at yourself, and looking at why other people might be doing things could be really helpful.
I know, and unfortunately, we have so much free time to do that right now, but everyone's too concerned about the fucking Tiger King and the new season of Ozark. But
the Tiger King was excellent, though, I have to say.
Oh, it was. But I tell you what, did you watch like the 8th episode?
Yeah, I was not into that.
Oh, I was so pissed. Like, fuck this. Fuck Joe McHale and this. I don't need a Where Are They Now. And I don't care about the fucking bucktooth guy's new teeth. And that guy's like, I was never on drugs. Sir, you were clearly on heroin on that last interview when you laid down in your bed and you're like, yeah, fuck it. So don't give me that shit.
You know what I was hoping it was? I was hoping they were going to go into prison and talk to Joe Exotic. Yeah.
Yes, I wanted that. I don't care about what the fucking guy that stuck in 2002 with his do-rag under his Hurley hat has to say. Like, I get it. You're going to see fucking Story of the Year, all right? But let's relax. You know what I'm saying? I just watched The Waco. Did you watch the
that's on my list.
About Waco?
Well, you recommended either on here or your Instagram, like 5 documentaries, right?
Yeah.
I just got through, and I think I texted you about this.
Staircase.
Dude,
wasn't that one so good?
Oh, it's long, dude, but it's very good.
There's a lot of layers to that story.
Oh man, that was really good. One that I got sucked into last night was I forget the name of it. Mastermind, maybe is what it's called. Did you watch that?
Was it?
It was this person.
The pizza box where the thing blows up.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that was Evil Genius.
Evil Genius. I started that last night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Get ready for a wild ride there. That one's phenomenal too.
But Waco's on my list. That looks really good.
Yeah, the guy that plays David Koresh, he's in a bunch of different shit. He's good. And then the little girl from Ozark, the blonde-haired, curly-cued, foul-mouthed girl, she's in there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But and then obviously we both bond over Wild Wild Country.
Oh, That's in my top 5.
Oh, it's
Wild
one of the greatest. I've been telling my sister, like, it's so good. But I digress.
Bhagwan.
Yes, Bhagwan was the man. I like that because there was him and then fucking hot yoga guy. They're the best because they're like gurus,
Yes.
and then they're just rocking Rolexes and driving like Rolls Royce. I'm like, that's actually that's pretty cool. All right, I got a couple more for you, Zach. So this is a good question. Just a random one though. So aside the basic necessities like food, water, shelter, whatever, what's something you cannot live without?
Me personally, or just people in general?
You.
Me personally. What can I not live without? Coffee is a huge part. I know that's food, but it's
not a necessity. I got you.
No, it's a ritual for me. And quite honestly, like most people would laugh at me when I tell them what I do, like what my coffee routine is. So number one, I mail order my beans like special.
I just got some from Caveman Coffee. So that
Did you?
Yeah, they're out of Albuquerque, but this one's from, I'm the same way with coffee. It's from Brazil and Colombia, this roast.
Oh, there you go.
Their mammoth roast. All right, so that's good. Now I want to know, I'm going to judge you too. How do you make it?
All right.
Go on.
All right, here we go. So actually, I have a mail order subscription. So every month they send me 4 1-pound bags of coffee from different regions.
Is it like Beer Across America, but coffee?
No, it's through a specific roaster in Indianapolis, actually, Tinker Coffee Company.
Okay.
But I have to say right now, the best coffee is from Ethiopia. It's great.
Ethiopians got the good shit.
They got the good stuff. So here's what I do. All right, I do pour over coffee with a Chemex.
Okay.
Right.
I just got a pour over yesterday. I'm a French press guy, and I saw someone with a pour over, and I'm like, that's interesting. So I went to this place right down the street and got a pour over filter yesterday. So I just did my first batch today.
Yes. So that's essential. Pour over is great. So I put the Chemex on a scale. I measure it all out.
What's your ratio of water to beans?
Exactly. So my ratio from water to beans is 41 grams coffee to around 675 to 700 grams water.
Okay.
So that's my ratio. But you cannot grind the beans prematurely. It has to be right before you pour the water in.
Correct. And do you do coarse?
I do like a medium grind.
Okay.
So it's like sand. It probably looks a little coarser than sand. That's what you do. So like that's like everyone else is in bed. I get up. That's my like ritual. I will, pour my coffee. I usually start the day by reading my Bible, drinking some coffee, like trying to get my head straight. So coffee is huge for me. What else right now working out, honestly, like I've had to adjust what I'm doing right now. So I know you're like you hate cardio. I think I know that about you.
Yeah, for the most part.
Right. So usually, I usually go to a CrossFit class every morning, but obviously the gyms are closed. But luckily our CrossFit gym allowed us to like take home some of their equipment. So I have a rower, I've got a barbell, I've got some other stuff too. But like right now I've been running a lot. So every morning I'm running like 4 to 5 miles, which has been like, I'm outside. It's something meditative where I'm just like grinding and I feel accomplished afterwards. So those 2 things are pretty important to me.
Two follow-ups. One, how much coffee do you drink?
So I drink 2 cups in the morning, and then I drink another 1 to 2 cups in the afternoon at like 2 p.m. ish.
Oh, we're on a similar coffee schedule. Okay. And then here's the funny thing I saw. It said, like I read something on Twitter, it was like Washington Post or some shit. It's like, after COVID-19 breakout, people want to exercise. Running's on the rise. It's like, no shit. Like what What else? How is it not on the rise? It's the only fucking thing you can do. You can't even go into a park
Right.
and do pull-ups on monkey bars.
Hey, just as a side note, do you
Yeah.
remember the Nordic track? Remember the Nordic track, which was like a cable system, and there were skis on the bottom of it.
Yes.
There was a time in the early 90s where everyone was throwing those out at the same time. If you went out like and looked at garbages, like everyone had a Nordic track out in their garbage.
Did you get a Nordic
This
track?
this doesn't relate to anything. I'm just making this observation.
Well, here's a fun fact about weird shit that still exists. You remember the gazelle?
Oh yeah, with that guy Tony.
Tony
That's
Little?
real weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tony Little. Yeah.
So last week I walk into my sister's room. She's on a fucking gazelle. She's like, what? It's a good workout. I guarantee you she's the only person left on planet Earth besides Tony Little that rolls a fucking gazelle.
She bought that off of QVC for sure.
I think it's been around for a while, but she was gazelling it up.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been doing, I hate cardio. I don't mind HIIT. So I've been doing like a lot of kettlebell stuff, burpees, HIIT stuff. I saw you got a box, which is nice. I wish I had a box
Yes.
to do some jumps on. That saves lives, and you could do like squats off of that, box jumps, all kinds of stuff.
Totally.
But I will not run. I take a lot of walks. I've been walking my ass off, but I will
You
not
do
run.
10-minute walks, don't you?
I do about at least 3, usually around 5, and then I do
A day?
Yeah, I used to every
nice.
time after I eat, I make it ritual. I eat and then I walk, so it helps me to kind of digest a little bit, and kind of get shit going. And then on the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday, I do a longer stroll. I'll get a coffee and I'll walk for like half hour, 45 minutes, just around my neighborhood. All right, so here's one for me, and this might help people. Last one of questions I had, Zach, but what's a book that's really kind of impacted you the most, or that you really like, or you would like that you suggest that most people should read and it'd probably help them out?
A book, did you say?
I did say a book. No, a rook.
A book.
If you were to play chess and you had a rook. No.
This is a hard one.
I know. First thing that pops into your head. You're like, this thing impacted me. And I know you're a man of God, so don't say the Bible because not everybody is, even though I know that has an impact on that. I know, but I know.
Right. Do you know, if I'm honest, like the first thing that comes to my head is a Catcher in the Rye.
Okay.
And here's
you plan on going to murder somebody?
No.
Chapman, you fuck?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
you want
right.
to go kill Lennon?
Yeah, right. That is weird that I said that, and most bunch of serial killers.
No, I love that.
We're reading that.
My top 3 all time.
Yeah, I love Catcher. So I love fiction to begin with, just because the nature of my job. I'm for 8 to 10 hours a day. I'm in the trenches of emotional stuff with people, so I like to unwind and read fiction. Catcher in the Rye, I think, it was important to me just because, I read it, and I think it was probably the first book that I ever actually read and liked in school.
Same boat.
And, yeah. And, The Outsiders, of course, were the first one.
Yeah, Outsiders, Tex, and the Westing Game, where where the red fern grows.
There you go.
4 other, but like in high school, where I did Catcher in the Rye was for sure.
Sure, but Catcher in the Rye is great. I mean, it's basically like it follows a character, Holden Caulfield, who's in high school, who's basically having a mental breakdown, which now that I think about it isn't the most uplifting thing. But I think it was one of the things that made me aware of psychology and mental health and that sort of thing. So that would be one book. I really like an author named Carl Hyacin. He's an author from Florida, and he basically writes fiction books about weird Floridian people. And
awesome.
We all know. Yeah.
Did you write the one about the bath salts guy?
No.
That was Florida motherfuckers running around eating bath salts and biting people's faces off.
He was on the highway when he did it too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not quite that real, but I mean, it's really, he's really comedic. It's really good. So I like that. If you're looking for a more clinical book, there is, there is sort of like a seminal book about how our thought patterns influence our emotions. And I know that sounds like a real basic thing, but most people don't make that connection. How our belief systems, our perceptions, our thought patterns, our beliefs about ourselves, how that influences our emotions. It's called Feeling Good. It has a really cheesy title, but it's a really good book. It's like a clinical book, but written for the lay person, somebody who's not clinical. But it addresses how our thought patterns influence our emotions, and it's good for anybody to read.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think, especially when we have all this downtime, I've been trying to advocate, like, read a fucking book. Like,
totally.
Netflix will be there, all the other shit will be there.
Yeah.
Like, actually try to, like, get a little bit better while we have this downtime.
Totally.
And The Catcher in the Rye, right? That was the whole deal with it. He was to save people and to help people, right? So maybe that influences what you do, right? You're the catcher in the rye. There you go.
Maybe you're right there. Yeah.
That's right. And you dig sunsets, Pony Boy. Just tell Dally to see one. All right, Zach. Other than that, so thanks so much for being on. What's your stuff? Like, let's say maybe someone listens to, like, maybe I want to talk to somebody. Is there like a way they can get a hold of you? Maybe they relate to you a little bit and specifically want to chat.
Absolutely.
What's your stuff?
So I got a website, drzachsikora.com, DRZACHSIKORA.com. You can check that out. There's lots of information on there about me. If you're wanting to, if you think you might benefit from some psychological treatment, all of my information is on there. All the information about how to get a hold of me is on there. So you could go straight to there.
Cool. All right, my man. Well, thank you so much for being on. It has been awesome and fun and informational, I do declare. All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, kids, for listening. Until next time, I'm going to put this one in the books. Peace.